What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down a great wide receiver football IQ quiz to test your knowledge of the position. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it can teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver and would like a daily route running, catching, press release workout schedule that you guys can follow, check out that very first link in the description below for our 8-week wide receiver on-field workout plan. It's 200 plus wide receiver drills, all broken down with video examples, and we give you the exact sets and reps to follow for each drill. So check out that very first link in the description below if you're interested, fellas. Let's get started with this video. So now, how this quiz style video works, if you guys aren't familiar with this, I'm going to show you guys a pre-snap look. I'm going to ask you a series of questions about that pre-snap look, and then we're going to give you a chance to answer the question, think about your answer, and then we'll break down why it's right or wrong, okay? So now, first example here, we have an inside shade press coverage DB. How would you guys run a 5-yard hitch versus this specific coverage, okay? So now, how would you guys run a 5-yard hitch versus inside shade press? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answer. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So first things first, anytime that we come up to the line of scrimmage as a wide receiver, when we're trying to come up with our plan, we're trying to figure out what we should do with our route, we have to identify two things about a DB. We have to identify his leverage, and then we have to identify the distance between me and him. So I already gave it away with the question of this answer. He's inside leverage, right? He's inside shade. He's trying to protect the inside, doesn't want to give up a slant, a dig, a post, anything inside breaking. Let's force this wide receiver to the outside because the sideline is his help. Now, this is going to be a two-part question. I'll ask the second part of this question in a minute here, but we know that by his release. So if you guys said that you guys want to just run off the ball and attack his outside shoulder and outside hip till you get to 5 yards and then put the brakes on, that would be wrong. What you would want to do is you would want to try to give him some kind of inside move to hold his leverage, then burst up to the outside, pushing vertical, put the brakes on at 5, and then come back. Well, not so much come back to this ball. That ball should already be out, okay? So you got to attack his leverage to the inside. If we just take off and run, that's exactly what he wants us to do. He's going to get hands. He's going to be right on my hip, and I'm not going to be able to get any space. So when you burst up to 5 yards, that's what's going to get you separation. Our goal is to get this DB to flip his hips and make him think that we are running a fade. So I'm going to play this clip full speed, and this route actually does not work. So I want you guys to think about why it didn't work. So he comes off the ball, he gives the jab, pushes up vertical, but this route doesn't work. DB's right there to make a play. He's right on his hip. We did get him to open up his hips a little bit, but he wasn't fully committed to the fade. So why do you think this did not work? So I'm going to give you guys a chance to answer that question as well. So I'm going to play it one more time. Think about that. Why do you think this didn't work? What could have made this route work? What gave it away that he was actually sitting down and running an actual hitch? And the answer is his stride. So when you guys are pushing up vertical and you're taking, like, let's say, for example, he's running an out route, he's running a deep comeback, or he's running this 5-yard hitch, we have to get this DB to open up the gate and commit to a fade. And how we get that DB to do that is by doing 3 specific things with my stem. Because it's easy for us to tell the wide receiver, like, hey, you need to self-fade. Make the DB think that you're running a fade. However, what actually goes into that? And that first thing is going to be your speed. And I think this wide receiver has that. Off the ball, he's got good speed off the ball. The second thing is going to be your pad level and your body language. You have to have this like forward, like not a lean, I guess you could say. You don't want to be hunched over, but you don't want to be raising up tall either. And you want your hips and your shoulders to sell like you're going fade. You want them facing downfield. And then last but not least, you need your stride. So if you guys said that it didn't work because he took choppy strides before the break point, that is correct. Because guys, a DB is watching my hips, but he is also reading my speed. And the second my stride goes from full length to about half length, and I'm trying to prepare for the break point, that gives away the break. So you see when he comes off the ball here, he takes this outside release and then choppy steps, and then he puts the brakes on. Guys, those choppy steps do not self-fade, and that is an easy way for us to get locked up on any route, not just a 5-yard hitch, not just a slant, on any single route downfield. We have to make it look like a fade with our stride, our speed, and our body language. So if that's what you guys said, give him a jab inside, push up vertical, and put the brakes on. And if you said this didn't work because he took choppy strides, you're 2 for 2 on this question, and that's a good start to this, obviously. So make sure, fellas, we are concerned with pushing vertical, with stride, and with speed. Okay, so now it's tough to see in this angle, but this is an example of Garrett Wilson running a deep corner route versus Sauce Gardner here. So it's tough to see, but he actually has a little bit of outside leverage in this specific example, and Garrett Wilson has his split cut down a little bit closer to the offensive line. So I want to ask you guys, how would you run a deep corner route? So a corner route versus outside shade press coverage with a reduced split cut down. So a split is cut down. We have outside shade press. How would you guys run a corner route? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answers. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So same idea as the hitch route, right? You have to understand two specific things when you're coming up with your plan off the line. Now, I want to make this clear that, guys, receivers, like, we want to have a plan. You want to come up to the line of scrimmage and you want to think, okay, I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to attack this. I'm going to do this release. But at the end of the day, if a DB takes it away or he maybe disguises a coverage, disguises a leverage, we have to be able to react as a wide receiver. He moves one way, we have to be able to react and go the other. But in this specific case, what you would want to do is you would want to try to attack the outside. You would want to try to attack his leverage to the outside, get him to hold his leverage, and then take the inside release, and my goal is to stack over the top of him, where this DB is trailing my back hip. That's the goal. Stack, inside release, and then stack. Why wouldn't you take the outside release? Because this DB's entire goal with press coverage is to prevent the outside route, right? So let's play this thing full speed, right? Garrett Wilson doesn't actually get the ball there, but he attacks his leverage, he takes the inside release, and he breaks on this corner. He's got him by a couple steps, right? So all it takes is just one good throw downfield with some air to let him go chase this throw down. Now, why did he not? Because, he's got a reduced split, right? He's lined up closer to the offensive line, so he has some room to the outside. But why not, give him a quick jab to the inside, try to move him off the platform, then take the outside release? Because a disciplined DB is not going to give that up. You guys have to understand that when he's outside leverage, he's there for a reason. He's there to protect the outside. So if we try to give him a move and force the outside release, a DB's entire goal in press is to disrupt timing by getting hands on us, and his entire goal in press is to disrupt spacing. So if we force this outside release and he gets hands on us and he squeezes us to the sideline where we break and we have less than 10 yards of space, that's not an easy throw for the quarterback, and that quarterback's not going to throw us the ball. That's not enough room for the quarterback to throw us open. So that's why we take the inside release. Let's attack him. Let's take what he gives us with the inside release, and let's get separation at the top of the break. We don't win the route off the line. We set ourselves up to win the route off the line, but we win the route at the top of the route. That's where our separation comes from, and we got to give the quarterback room to at least give us a good shot. If we give the quarterback a chance, and then the quarterback can give us a chance with a good ball, that is the recipe for a good play. So let's watch this thing again full speed one more time. So great job attacking outside, taking the inside release, and then working that move at the top of the break to get that separation on a very talented Sauce Gardner DB. Okay. So now, this is a little bit of a change-up in terms of questions on this wide receiver quiz. Normally we talk about routes, normally we talk about situations, but something that's important for wide receivers is being able to read a defense, being able to understand coverages to know where the weaknesses are in this defense, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you guys, what coverage do you think this defense is? And if you can't see it, there is a corner down here and there's a receiver down here. So this is an empty set. So you got 3 receivers at the top, 2 receivers at the bottom, empty backfield, just a quarterback back there. What coverage do you think this is? And where are the weaknesses of this specific coverage? So what coverage do you think this is? And where are the weaknesses of this coverage? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answers. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So if you guys said that this was cover 2, that would be correct. Cover 2 is correct in this specific instance. It's easy to tell that it's cover 2, not because of where the corners are played, guys. You got to understand, fellas, that DBs do not dictate the type of or the entire coverage, I should say. DBs can show that they're in press man. DBs can show that they are in zone pre-snap, but DBs are crafty individuals. They will disguise coverage. They will show like they are in zone like this and then come down and jam the hell out of you. They will show like they are in press like this and then bail out of there. So you can't just determine that. You have to look at the safeties. So you see how these 2 safeties are extremely deep, right? So let's see where the ball is, right? The ball is on the 40-yard line, give or take maybe a yard. So you got 5, 10, 15. This one's 17 and this one's 15 yards off. That's pretty deep. And you see those safeties, they're in these skinny feet stances. That looks like they are going to backpedal. So in cover 2, they're responsible for the deep halves of the field, and the corners are responsible for the flats. So if that's what you guys said and how you could tell is based on the safeties, it's not because it's 2-eye safeties, because 2-eye safeties could mean that it's also cover 4. It could mean cover 6. If you have 2-eye safeties, what if this corner bails? He bails and takes a 4th. He takes a 4th, and this guy ends up bailing. That's cover 4 now. That's not cover 2. Cover 2 is when the corners sit in the flats, and these two guys have the deep halves of the field. So weaknesses of cover 2. If you guys said the area between the corner and between the safeties, they call that like the hole shot right there. That's a weakness. And then because these two safeties are taking the deep halves of the field, the middle of the field is also a weakness. So if you guys said cover 2 and you named those 2 spots as the weaknesses, that would be correct. So why is it important to know that as a receiver? So it's important to know that as a receiver because, like, let's say you're this receiver and you're running a fade route, and let's say this receiver's running a 5-yard out. We know that the corner's probably going to sit on the 5-yard out. We don't want to run this fade like it's going to be a deep fade over the top. We want to probably try to settle in this window right here. If I'm running, like, let's say, for example, I have a post and then this guy's running a fade and I break on that post and I know he's going to play the fade, I don't want to just keep running and cover myself with this other safety. I kind of want to settle in the middle of the field. You have to know these things about coverages, fellas, to make yourself more of a threat against zone and know where to sit specifically for that quarterback. Okay, so if that's what you guys said, cover 2 and name those weaknesses, that would be 100% correct. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like an 8-week wide receiver on-field workout schedule, over 200+ wide receiver drills and on-field workouts that you can do, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you on that. I'll see you guys next time.